Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Matters with Rugare. On this podcast, we try to normalize conversations about mental health. So today, this is May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, for those who know, and for those who didn't know, yes, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So let's try to get in our circles and talk about mental health. Today, I am your host, Dante, and I am here together with my co-host,
Tempo Kaunda from Rugare Mental Health Organization.
Yes, and we also have our guest,
Kate Chipili, co-founder of Amani Mental Health Foundation.
All right, thank you. So, Kate, we're trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
As much as the listeners are getting to know you, and we're also trying to get to know you. So could you please introduce yourself and give us a brief background on your mental health advocacy
All right.
experience?
My name is Kate, like I said, and I was born at Atlanta Adventist Hospital. I was about to say, yeah. But then, and I also am a social worker by profession and practicing mental health therapist for about 3 years now here in Malawi. Yeah. Yes. So, mental health advocacy for me, I got more passionate about mental health in 2016 because of incidents that had happened to me that were close to home, and for me that time, that was like 2016. Yeah, I remember that was 2016. And in that year it was rough for me because I was studying a course that I was not really good at Chanko, currently known as UNIMA. So that was alone was depressing. It was very distressing,
Could you know the name of the course?
Yes, pure science. So they call it Bachelor of Science. Yeah. So
you had everything: physics, chemistry,
all that math, yeah. So it was a very intense combination that, you even before I had gone to school, a lot of people would be like, hey, come up, pure science, things like that, because, of how intense the program is. Like a lot of people, even those that are not studying the program, would know how difficult it was at the time. And yeah, so adding on top on that was that that same year, 2016, I lost my mom in December. So that was also a major blow because I was so dependent on my mom at the time. Of course, I was, they would say, oh, you're grown up, your mom passed when you're 18. But I don't think that in the way our economic setup is, you still have a long way to go as an 18-year-old to get yourself established and, to be stable. So it was such a difficult time, and I went through depression, and it was very bad. It was bad to the point where, I was having to go back. When my mom passed, I was still in the school, and that was the last semester of that year. So, the concentrating on deferred exams just because you lost a parent was not it for me. Well, eventually through the support of friends and family, I'd seen the support that my friends and my family were giving me. And so that kind of like pushed me to my feet a little bit. So I left UNIMA, and, at that time you're figuring out how to go forward with life and, with your education as well, because, it's like everything else has just like stopped and, nothing is working anymore. So I started to educate myself more about the mind and, understanding mental health. Yeah. So my major goal, going further with my education at the time, was that I wanted to study something that could, help people with their mental health state and, to recover from depression, anxiety, and, several mental health conditions. So then when I was looking into like programs and courses, I did see that social work has an aspect of mental health where you're able to major in mental health and, do all things counseling and therapy. So yeah, when I went to school in India, we had like field work, and we were placed in different places to like it was part of the course. So my main interest was working in the hospital with young people that have been affected by maybe accidents that caused trauma. And so I was working at the rehabilitation center at the time, in the hospital. So it really ignited my passion to say, okay, mental health, mental health, mental health. So everything began with like, it was just like a passion where I was just like educating myself,
Yeah.
and also normalizing the education with friends and family. Yeah, so
that's what inspired you.
Yes, that's really what inspired me mostly. That's what ignited my passion for mental health. And I was also just seeing how, community actually like helps and supports, when you're involved in a certain group of people, those people can be able to like, get you back on your feet if they're like, it will help you out, especially if like they're having a positive mentality. Because like even before going to school, that time like to continue, there were so many speculations. No, India has people, raping each other. India, people kill each other a lot there. But, I didn't have to listen to those narratives to get my life back on track. So I had to take the risk, as an 18-year-old, you're going to a different country. You don't have relatives there. You don't have, a lot of people. Yeah. So it was a lot for me was to just understand mental health, alone, like, independently. And then, yeah, so that really helped. Yeah.
I feel like that's we're getting to know you. Yes.
Yeah.
I've learned that you're very caring and compassionate. Okay.
Maybe why do you think mental health is still a taboo in many African communities?
Mental health is still a taboo. There's still stigma and discrimination, mostly because a lot of people have not really understood what mental health is. Most people have had that perception to say mental health is zantwamisala, if I'm to say it in Chichewa, right? Kudi ndi antwamisala. Mudu. So another part that also kind of like made me dive deeper into this is that, you're seeing your family member in a mental hospital and they're losing it, and then eventually they die, right? So it's the narrative of like people, the sayings that, even older people are, sidelined because of their age. So basically, muntu wankulu wambiri timamunena kuti amene ajanamba misala, and then chifukwa namba misala foti ndakulu nda anakalamba. And of course, maybe there's that condition of dementia, right, in older people when they get like really old, right? So, that whole being sidelined and, antwena makauda kuzunzika kumenyedwa, and, they're not really like being taken care of in their community just because mental health and Misala. Like recently, Malawi has passed a bill number 17 of mental health, right? Yeah. So they were changing the whole act of like 1948, where when you read the act, it tells you that, this act orders people, orders medical professionals to like force people, into the hospital when they're like not stable, or they're like, maybe they could harm themselves or could harm other people around them. Right. So at the time it was seen as good. Okay, when it gets to a point where, like they're not really thinking properly, we grab them like a prisoner and we throw them into, a mental health institution. So I feel like those narratives have shaped how people think. Well, how sure am I that my information is kept safe? There's also those kind of like, concerns to say, okay, if I go and talk to a
trending tomorrow,
next thing you're trending, next thing people are talking about you or your story all over, the place. So it's really, people will stay in hiding because of that. And also because, like when you're in a group, like this, right? Maybe one of us here could be suffering in silence, right? And they're not going to maybe say anything. That will be also caused because of how like people will see you, like you were saying, that people are scared because people don't want to see you being weak. Yeah, right. So sometimes it could also be peer pressure that could like hinder people from like, you know, going to therapy and opening up. So mental health is not just for white people. Mental health affects everybody. It does not like limit or look at the age or, you know, the race or the background. So
yeah. And this is why we're trying to normalize conversations about mental health in our friend groups. So please reach out to your friends. If something happens, please talk to them.
Yeah, and also as you're a friend to someone who's like, maybe somebody's venting to you, right? They're like, okay, I'm venting to my friend. As a friend, on the you know, you're the receiving part. So your friend is going to be venting about something, and maybe you don't know what to do, or you don't really have like enough information to like support them, right? It's also good to just like not disclose the information, but, you know, talk to religious leaders or maybe, you know, faith-based leaders, right? That can, you know, come in if you're a friend and you're not able to assist the person that is venting to you.
So yeah, but that being said now, in your experience, I would like to know, what do you think happens, or what have you seen happen when people don't talk about the mental health struggle?
I mean, to be honest, suicide. And I know that that's a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
But